Hey everyone, I have a very cool lesson for you today. Um, we are starting the trig unit, and I'm pretty excited about it. It's one of my favorite units of geometry. Um, the 45, 45, 90, and 30, 60, 90 right triangles um, are always on your EOC. This is actually a pretty difficult topic to learn, but easy once you've learned it. So just keep that in mind. Try not to get frustrated because I promise that you will learn it. And this is um, what I believe it would be like a level 5 scorer. Like if you get these right, you're more likely to get a 5. Okay, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time proving this to you, but I will spend just a moment. Um, if you have a 45, 45, 90 right triangle, okay, and they give you just one side length, you can use that side length to find the other sides. Same thing with the 30, 60, 90, and it's actually pretty cool. If you look down at the problems 19 through 24, they give you just one small side, right? And you're going to use that to find all the other sides of this figure. So it's actually really kind of fun, challenging math. Um, so we're talking about side lengths, okay? And we don't know anything about this 45, 45, 90 triangle other than its angles, right? So if we don't know anything about its sides, we're going to call the legs x. Okay, so the legs are x units long, and the hypotenuse we can find by um, plugging it into Pythagorean theorem. So Pythagorean theorem works for any right triangle. A squared plus b squared equals c squared, and what we know about our side lengths are we are calling them x. So leg squared plus leg squared is the hypotenuse squared. Okay, so we're trying to find c, um, and we'll say x squared plus x squared is the same thing as 1x squared plus 1x squared. So that is 2x squared equals c squared. Okay, and moving over here, if c squared equals 2x squared and I want c by itself, I would take the square root of both sides. Okay, c squared, the square root of c squared is c. And 2x squared, the square root of 2x squared is the square root of 2 times x, right? And we know that in order for something to come out of the square root, we need two of the same factor, which we have here. Um, this x comes out, right? So c is equal to x square root of 2, x root 2. All right, and we get lazy in this unit and saying, instead of saying square root, we'll just say root. So you'll hear that more and more as math gets more difficult. Um, we will apply this now. We have x root 2 for our 45, 45, 90 triangles. So the first thing I want to do is identify the hypotenuse for numbers 1 through 3. So the hypotenuse for number 1 is y, the hypotenuse for number 2 is x, and the hypotenuse for number 3 is 19. So let's just take a moment, and I'll change colors here, to label our legs as x and our hypotenuse as x root 2. So this is x root 2, and x root 2. And guys, it's unfortunate that they chose in this textbook to use the variables x and y because it gets a little confusing when we're calling our legs x and x root 2, our legs and our hypotenuse as x and x root 2. But it's okay, we'll work with it. So, number 1, they give us our side length. Our x is 8. So if x is 8, this x is also 8, right? So my other side length, my other leg is 8. And then plugging in x equals 8 to x root 2, right? I'm substituting 8 for x. Y is 8 root 2. So that was pretty simple. Okay, number 2, we have our side lengths, our legs are 25. So x is 25. So that means y is 25. That's where I tell you the variable's unfortunate. Okay, and my hypotenuse is x squared root of 2. So if x is 25, I'll substitute 25 for x. This is 25 root 2. So that is my hypotenuse, 25 root 2. Okay, and number 3 is a little bit more challenging. They don't give us our x, so they don't give us our legs, but they do give us our hypotenuse, x root 2 equals 19. So I'm going to come over here and show you what happens when we have to solve for x, our legs. So we know that x root 2 equals 19, and we're trying to get x by itself. So x square root of 2 means x times the square root of 2. And so to get x by itself, we just divide by the square root of 2. Okay, so that seems easy enough. We have x equals 19 divided by square root of 2. But math has this rule that you can't have square roots in the denominator. So we have to eliminate the square root in the denominator. We're going to manipulate this number, 19 divided by the square root of 2, by multiplying by 1 in the form of root 2 over root 2. Okay, and we can multiply by 1 and not change a number. So I'm just changing what this number looks like. Okay, so 19 times the square root of 2, my numerator, is 19 root 2. Oh, my square root got a little crazy there. Hang on. So 19 root 2. And then the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is the same thing as square root of 2 times 2, right? And we have 2 of the same factor, so it comes out of the square root, so over 2. So my hypotenuse, guys, is 19 square root of 2 over 2. So this is 19 square root of 2. Nope, my hypotenuse is not that. My hypotenuse is 19. The legs, my x's, are both 19 square root of 2 over 2. And I know that sounds crazy, but that is a number. And if you plugged it into your calculator, you could get a decimal version of that number that you would probably be a lot more comfortable with. So x is 19 root 2 over 2. And y is 19 root 2 over 2. All right, moving on. So our 30, 60, 90 special right triangle relationship, we call our shortest leg x. Our longer leg is x root 3. And the hypotenuse is 2x. Okay, So I'm not going to prove this one. If you would like to spend 5 minutes watching the video that I've attached, I recommend doing so. Okay, so the shortest leg, that's this side across from the 30, right? We know the shortest side is across from the smallest angle. The longer leg is x root 3, and the hypotenuse is 2x. Okay, so number 4, they give us x. So this, I'm going to just label my sides. This is x root 3, and 2x. And I'm sorry, guys. I know it's super confusing when they use the variables x and y, but it's worth it to label. So we know that our x is 5. So if we plug in for the longer leg, this would be 5 root 3. Okay, so x is 5 root 3. And y is 2x. So this would be, if our x, guys, is 5, then y would be 2 times 5, so y is 10. Number 5, again, they give us x. Y is x root 3, and x is 2x. Again, it would be so much easier if they use variables a, b, and c. So, thankfully, they give us x. These are the easy ones. We just plug in directly to x root 3 and 2x. So this would be 14 root 3 is our y. And 2x would be 2 times 14, which is 28. Okay, so number 6, they don't give us our x. They give us the 2x, right? So we are setting 32 equal to 2x. And we solve for x just by dividing by 2 on both sides, and we get x is 16. Okay, and so 16 is our x, not our x root 3. So the shorter leg is 16. And our y, x root 3, we plug in our 16 for x, is 16 root 3. Okay, again, I know this is probably overwhelming. It's hard to learn, but once it clicks, it gets pretty easy. So we're going to practice this on Friday, all day after the Bellward quiz. All right, so number 7, they give us the hypotenuse. So that's 2x. The shortest side is x, and the longer leg is x root 3. So in order to find y, which is our x, we have to find what x is. So 2x equals 46. That makes x 23. So this side, our y, is 23. Okay, and then plugging in directly for the longer leg, x root 3 is 23 root 3. Okay, so number 8 is a tricky one. We'll go ahead and label our sides. Our shorter leg is x. Our longer leg is x root 3. And our hypotenuse is 2x. So we take what they gave us. The 20 is equal to the x root 3. Okay, and I'll come over here to show you how to do this. X root 3 equals 20. Okay, and we divide by the square root of 3 on both sides to get x by itself. And remember, they don't like square roots in the denominator, so we multiply by root 3 over root 3. So x is equal to 20 square root of 3 over, well, square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is the square root of 9, which is 3. Okay, so that is what x is. So this is 20 root 3 over 3, which is our y. So I'll go ahead and write that down, 20 root 3 over 3. Okay, and so plugging that in for 2x, we do 2 times 20 root 3 over 3, which is 40 root 3 over 3, right? If we could simplify it, we would, but we can't here. So 2 times 20 is 40. The square root of 3 over 3 stays. Number 9 is a 30, 60, 90 triangle. We'll go ahead and label our shorter, longer, and hypotenuse. The shorter leg is x. The longer leg is x root 3. And the hypotenuse is 2x. Okay, so we set 9 square root of 3 equal to x square root of 3, which hopefully this one works out nicer. If I say 9 root 3 equals x root 3, and I want to find x, I would just divide both sides by root 3, which leaves me with 9. So the shortest side, x, is 9. Okay, and the hypotenuse, the 2x, is 2 times 9, which is 18. So you should kind of be starting to get a hang of it now. I'll leave you some problems to do on the right side. So let's do some mixed practice. And I'll pick some of the harder ones and leave you guys some of the easier ones. So I will do 16, 17, and 18 and leave you guys 10 through 15. Okay, so number 16 is a 30, 60, 90. Okay, it's mixed practice, so it's good to label so you don't kind of get confused. A 30, 60, 90 is x, x root 3, and 2x. And I really recommend labeling them just so you can figure out what to do. The side that they give us is our longer leg, which is 6. So we set 6 equal to x root 3. X squared root of 3 equals 6. We divide both sides by square root of 3. Multiply by 1 in the form of root 3 over root 3. So this is 6 square root of 3 over square root of 9, which is 3. And then this one we can reduce to 2 root 3, right? Because 6 divided by 3 is 2. Okay, so our x is 2 root 3, which is our y, right? So 2 square root of 3. And x is our hypotenuse, 2x. So we're going to do 2 and plug in our x, which is 2 root 3. And 2 times 2 square root of 3 is 4 square root of 3. Okay, so number 17 is a 45, 45, 90. And so you might need to review. The legs are both x, and the hypotenuse is x squared root of 2. Okay, so review if you need to. So they don't give us x, which stinks, right? We're going to have to set x squared root of 2 equal to 10 to find out what our legs are. But this isn't too hard. We have x squared root of 2 equals the square root of 10. And so we divide both sides by the square root of 2. Okay, and don't forget, guys, the square root of 10 over the square root of 2. I'm going to write this at the top. Square root of 10 over the square root of 2 is the same thing as the square root of 10 divided by 2, right? So x is the square root of 5. Okay, so both of my legs are the square root of 5. So this one was pretty easy. Number 18 is a 30, 60, 90. So I'll label my shorter leg x. My longer leg is x root 3. And my hypotenuse is 2x. So if 38 equals 2x, right? So 38 equals 2x, and I'm solving for x, I would just divide both sides by 2 to get x is 19. So my shorter leg is 19, and plugging in x for x root 3, that would be 19 root 3 for my longer leg. So 19 and 19 root 3. All right, and then we have some challenge questions, right? Because who needs challenge questions after this crazy lesson? Maybe I'll leave you guys the left side and I'll do the right side. So I'll do the evens, 20, 22, and 24. Well, I recommend doing these in pencil. We have my hypotenuse, which is x root 2, and my leg is x. So this is also 32, right? Because both of my legs in a 45, 45, 90 are going to be the same length. Okay, so x root 2, if x is equal to 32, would be 32 root 2, right? That's my hypotenuse here, my x. Okay, so I will change colors just so it's easier to process what's happening here. We have a 30, 60, 90 with what's left. My shortest side is x. My longer leg is x root 3. And my hypotenuse is 2x. So if 32 equals 2x, I get x equals 32 divided by 2, which is 16. So z is 16. All right, and plugging it in for x here, for my y, x is 16, so this is 16 root 3. Okay, number 22. So they only give me one tiny side length of my 30, 60, 90. But thankfully they give me the shortest side is x. Okay, that's what I like, 7 root 3. Okay, so if I'm labeling my other sides, this shared side is x squared root of 3, and my hypotenuse is 2x. Okay, so let's do the hypotenuse first. They give us x equals 7 root 3. So that's cool. We'll plug it into 2x. So this is 2 times 7 root 3, which is 14 root 3. So x is 14 square root of 3. Well, we're going to have to figure out my longer leg, the shared side here, just because we need it to set up the next triangle, the bigger triangle of these two combined triangles. So if x is 7 root 3, and I'm trying to find this x root 3, so let me come over here. We said x was 7 root 3, so this is 7 root 3 times the square root of 3, which is 7 times the square root of 9, which is 7 times 3, 21. Okay, so now for my other triangle, right, I'm going to say that this is 21, right? It actually is. But this is now our x, because this is the short leg of my bigger right triangle, right? So if this is 21 is x, z is x root 3, and y is 2x. 2x. Okay. So let's figure out y, because this one's easy. If 21 is x, then 2 times x would be 2 times 21, which is 42. That's my y. Then x root 3 would be 21 root 3. Okay, so that's not really too bad. Number 24, we have a 30, 60, 90 to start. So I'll label my sides and my hypotenuse. Z is x, 18 is x root 3, and my hypotenuse is 2x. So if 18 equals x root 3, okay, we have to solve for x. So x root 3 equals 18. And we divide both sides by the square root of 3 to get x by itself. And then we're just simplifying, right? We already have x by itself, but we need it to look better, right? Because we can't have a square root in the denominator. And this leaves me with 18 root 3 over 3. And we can simplify. 18 divided by 3 is 6. Square root of 3. Okay, so that's my x. And so that's 6 root 3 is x. So 6 root 3 is z. And 2 times that, if I'm plugging it in, is 2 times 6 square root of 3, which is 12 square root of 3. So I'm going to erase all this and put 12 root 3. 12 root 3 is my hypotenuse for the 45, 45, 90. So I'll change colors. I have my two legs, which are x, and my hypotenuse is x root 2. Can you see that? So what I'm doing here is 12 root 3 equals x root 2. Okay, and I'm trying to find my x. I need to get x by itself. So to get x by itself, I divide by the square root of 2. All right, and now I'm working to the left, and it's going to look a little crazy, but I think you guys can follow. Square root of 2 times 12 times square root of 3 is 12 square root of 6. Divided by square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is the square root of 4, which is 2, right? And so 12 divided by 2 is 6. So that's 6 root 6 for both of my legs. X and Y are both 6 square root of 6. Okay, so hopefully through this video you kind of started to understand practice with 10 through 15 and do your best with 19 through 23, and good luck. All right, have a good night.